I'm Jacqueline Johnson.
And I'm Marina Middleton.
And this is Work Party, a podcast that's part work and part party. Work Party celebrates a new generation of women who are redefining the meaning of work on their own terms and having fun while doing it.
In this podcast, we are diving into all the areas of being a working woman: mind, body, and business. No topic is off limit.
Real talk and hot takes. Think of us as your internet work wives. This is Work Party,
the podcast.
Wait, where's the champagne? Welcome back to Work Party. The future of marketing isn't about making more noise. It's about creating more connection. While email sometimes gets dismissed as outdated, the reality is it's one of the most powerful marketing channels out there. In fact, it's proven that it has 3,600% ROI. That's $36 for every $1 spent. Today, we're diving into how founders and women in business can use email to grow their communities, build stronger customer relationships, and future-proof their businesses. And we're joined by someone who knows the insides and outs, Natalie Frank, entrepreneur, author, community builder, and fierce champion of small business. She also happens to be the head of marketing at Flowdesk, a female-founded bootstrap SaaS success story that scaled to $32 million ARR without outside funding. Welcome to Work Party, Natalie. We're so excited to have you.
I'm excited to be here.
Okay, so let's start with Flowdesk. If someone's not familiar with Flowdesk, what is it? How long have you been there? What is your role? All the things.
Yeah, so Flowdesk is email marketing. It's the first thing I want us to marinate on. But before you roll your eyes and you're going, next episode, I'm ready to hop off. Flowdesk is email marketing, and it was created so that a woman from her kitchen table can be just as powerful and just as successful as a billion-dollar brand. It's giving the tools back to the creators and the small business owners and the independents that, want to market what they have to offer in a meaningful way and generate revenue. And to do it so simply, to not have to know how to code, not have to have a data analyst, not need to have a designer, but to still show up like Anthro does in your inbox, like unique, personalized, powerful. So it was co-founded by two of my dearest friends, Martha Bitar, Rebecca Shostak, back in the 2017 era where we were all living in San Francisco. And I've been around the brand since that very beginning time period. I stayed on as an advisor early on, but got to watch these two women that I absolutely admire and love bootstrap this company to 32 million ARR without investors.
Insane.
And 100,000 paying customers that absolutely adore it. And it's been an incredible journey. About 2 years ago, I came over to start our marketing team. We hadn't had one officially prior to that. And it's been just an incredible learning experience and a great opportunity to really invest back into the community of small business owners that have been a part of my journey since I was a wedding photographer, in the early days. For folks who know, I am not a tech person. I'm a small business person who ended up here.
Yeah, well, in email marketing in that industry is just as important as any other industry. But yeah. I love that it's female founded, tech focused. That's such an incredible story.
It's funny. So I obviously love Flowdesk, and we use Flowdesk. And I think the biggest thing, and you touched on it, is anybody could use it, but it also grows along with you. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about it before we hit record, but for founders who's short on time, why is email marketing still worth investing in compared to other channels?
Yeah, we could do hours on this, so I will make it very succinct. It converts. It converts. It generates revenue. It actually drives the bottom line of your business forward. When we look at marketing channels at large, very few to any convert like email. Mm-hmm. And I think it also really allows you to own access to your audience base in a world where you're so often renting space when it comes to things like social media, right? You're kind of hanging out on Maseri's couch, right? Building your empire from within that land as you grow. But when you have an email list, you're actually inviting them into your space. Mm-hmm. You're able to take those contacts from TikTok, from Instagram, from YouTube, from wherever you have your community and your audience, and bring them into an area that you can really cultivate and make your own and strengthen that connection over time. And again, I think it also removes that pressure a lot of us feel to constantly sell on social, which we can talk about. But we've entered an era too where people want authenticity on social and they want authenticity in the inbox. And you can build funnels that actually create space for revenue generation without sacrificing that genuine authenticity that ultimately is why your people choose you over anybody else.
You touched on conversion, and I think that is so obviously so important. When a founder is looking, or a creator, as someone is looking at a blank page on their newsletter, like where do they begin and what makes something engaging for the reader or something that would make them convert?
Yeah. Okay. So first, let me just say, I think we get really formal the minute we think about email marketing. And I want us to kind of strip back that misperception or that like limiting belief that things have to be a giant flyer. You know, it's not Times Square in the inbox. You don't need to throw up billboards at everybody and like sell. You can treat the inbox like a genuine conversation. I've actually found that subject lines even that feel like that you're talking to a friend perform exceptionally well. The best subject line, by the way, when I was a small business owner that I ever had perform was, hey. Hey.
That's crazy.
That's all it said. Hey.
We're going to use
But
that
there's
this week.
also
Do it and then tell me how it performs.
We have to tell her about your crazy email you sent. But also there's actually a study that says a personalized email line will perform 26% better than anything else.
We have to tell you about this because it is really, really funny. Because to your point, like beautiful emails is such a big feature of Flowdesk and design and everything. And Create and Cultivate's branding is like so important to us. Mm-hmm. When I first started as the CEO, I was like, oh, I love what we're doing. I'm going to change it up a bit. And I send out this email.
Tell me. Yeah. Does not tell me.
Of course.
So I send out this email, no background color, no like different font. I think it was like Arial font or whatever. And it was like, hey, like I'm Marina. I want to introduce myself, blah, blah, blah. The amount of people, it literally just looked like a rogue email.
My mom texted me, you've been hacked.
Yeah.
You've been hacked. Four people go, hey, not to like whatever, but I think you guys have been hacked. Literally, and Marina goes, highest open rate. I'm like, everyone thought we got hacked.
I'm like, it worked. Like, it got people's attention.
Oh my gosh. So funny. It was crazy. It was like, it might as well have been in Comic Sans. Like, it was the craziest email.
But to that point, it really was like very personal. Like, it was a very like, hey.
I think we learned many things from that experience. One being, yes, personal definitely connects. I would also say what I'm also hearing, though, is that the brand you've created and how you all have showed up in the inbox is so strong and so recognizable that the minute you diverted from it, too, your core people were kind of like, what's happening?
Yeah.
Something's gone wrong.
Things gone very wrong.
I know, but just to bring it back to that question, I think that's really where you start. When we think about conversion, it's the depth of the relationship that you can cultivate with people such that you stand out not just because of the design and not just because you have developed that incredible brand, but also because they want to hear what Marina has to say. They want to hear what Jacqueline is doing. They genuinely care about opening your emails because to them, there's this parasocial relationship. It goes deeper than just a sale, an attempt to convert, right? Like we really buy not because of the thing, but we buy because of the experience and how it makes us feel and what it has to offer us. So I would say from the subject line all the way down through that email messaging, you can sell and sell boldly and sell proudly. But don't forget that this is still a relationship at the end of the day. Show up with value, conversation, engage them like you would engage a friend. If you truly don't know where to start, I would always say, imagine you're writing a letter. What's the PS at the end? What's the little takeaway, the nugget, the little like kiss that you're going to leave somebody, right? And then how do you bring that throughout the email so that, you know, they really feel supported throughout the experience. And by the way, that includes like mess ups. Some of my favorite emails have been like, we effed up. And I'm like, I'm opening that right now. What did you do? And, you know, like the intern sent the last email that was internal. It was not supposed. I can't tell you, like one time in the prior role that I had created a community we were acquired and we were moving over, you know, our list and what have you. And we did accidentally send an email. And I just remember it was like the wrong email we sent. And our subject line was something to the effect of disregard prior email. Yes. Highest open rate. And all it was an awkward turtle gif of a turtle like flipping upside down. And I was like, you know, whatever. But to this day, like people always like, I remember that email that time. You like accidentally like posted something too early. It was supposed to go out the next week or whatever. But just being human. Like that's what we're craving, right? It's the humanness, the personal, the authentic connection.
I love that. And we're going to get tactical before we go into subject lines and all of the things. But what is the quote unquote right volume amount of emails?
Far more than you think.
Okay.
I think one thing that I've learned is people are very nervous about annoying their audience. I hear it all the time, right? Like, I don't want to annoy my audience. How much is too much? And often if you're already asking me that question, you're not emailing enough.
Yeah.
Rarely do I have someone, by the way, especially women in business, who are being too aggressive in the inbox, right? There is this sort of self-imposed belief that we're annoying people by existing. And I love shattering that. Like, I feel like, no, if they're subscribed, they want to hear from you. You have something of value to offer. Really think about this. Like, you're sitting down with a friend and you're talking to them about something you know is going to change their life. How are you going to attack that? If they're not listening, are you just going to stop? Like, no, you're going to be like, again and again and again. I mean, I'm obnoxious about walking pads. This is my example, right? Like, I have told how much many members of my team have gotten a walking pad because I'm like, I can't sit at a desk all day. I'm like wasting, I need to actually move. And I would never stop annoying my bestie about it. Like, at the end of the day, I'm gonna be like, you gotta get that walking pad.
I love that.
No, but you actually do. And when you think about your business, show up just as passionately. So, in terms of actual numbers, what I would say is, first of all, you need to be emailing your list at least. Now, this is like bare minimum. I'm talking if you do less than this, you will be penalized now by Gmail and Yahoo. So I'm talking like actually listen to me here. You need to be emailing your list at least every 3 months or you risk being flagged, right? Inbox providers are going to go, uh-oh, wait, this is new. This hasn't happened. What's going on? That's considered after like 3 to 6 months, it's a cold list. You almost shouldn't touch it. Now, for somebody who's running an active business, they're emailing far more than that. But for a lot of like creators, startups, people just creating their list, they'll, be aggressive only during certain times of the year or engage only during certain times of the year. And then they'll go cold August, September, October. They'll go cold like throughout the summer and they do a big blast for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. And they're confused why their open rate is in the trash can and why people are saying they didn't see the email at all. That's because Google and they're going to penalize you for kind of a mass blast without that consistent engagement. So I would say never let a list go cold over 3 to 6 months. If you do, you have to approach it truly like a cold list. Don't do a mass blast. Start small increments, break it up, and do a warm up. Now, more realistically, if we're getting tactical, I highly recommend every week. At least. I think every week, a great cadence, give them something to look forward to. You can serialize it. You can give them an expectation it comes on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Audiences are going to vary based on, what day performs the best. We've seen everything across the board. And we analyzed, 6.8 billion emails back in late 2023 to publish a 2024 report. And I remember at that point, Fridays had the highest open rate. And I couldn't believe it. I'd never sent an email on a Friday. So it really goes to show that, your audience will really dictate what performs well, how often you should send. And you have to be looking at their cues, things like open rates, click-through rates, qualitative feedback. But I would say weekly is great. You can do far more than that too. Like if you're in a sales season, you can do far more than that. Just prepare in advance, value, sell, right? The age old kind of.
Do you think it's better to create a new list if you're selling something that's one off? So like for instance, like we have a weekly newsletter that's like content and information. Like it's like we're providing a ton of value. If we did and this is just asking for advice at this point.
Yeah.
But if you are launching something like, hey, we're selling for this, retreat or something, do you create a new list? Because then if I'm like, oh, I'm not interested in that, I don't live near there, whatever, I can unsubscribe to that, but I'm not unsubscribing to the main list.
Yes. So the way I would approach it is not new lists and old lists. I would look at everything as a contact that you hyper personalize by segment.
Got it.
So I would say yes,
segment.
right? And segmented emails perform so much better than general blasts.
Yeah.
It blows my mind every time we kind of, look into actual performance of different emails, but I would say yes. And like, don't create a new list, create a new segment. Create off ramps from your existing weekly cadence where people can raise their hand if they identify that they might be interested in something that you're doing on the side. So you can start early. If you know, for example, you're going to activate at an event with a ton of creators like Can Lions, you might start now, like 6 to 7 months in advance, asking people about like, what their aspirations are and start segmenting based on aspirations. You can do like in Flowdesk, we have link actions where if someone clicks a link, you can drop a segment to that contact and you're actually able to, start to create this very complex viewpoint of who your audience is so you can get personalized.
And one question I have is I do think there's been this like transition from the beautiful designed photo heavy like just the headline, click through to see, to these text heavy, specific emails, which I actually really enjoy, where it's like kind of just like, again, it's like paragraphs, features, like you're like the newsletter is the content. You know what I'm saying? What are your thoughts on that?
I think so. A couple of things. One, I think that there has been, this is like maybe my hot take. I think there has been, kind of a narrative that has existed for a long time that plain text equals better. It converts better. It's, it's very, that has been ever since I was a small business owner, like the advice.
Yes.
Okay. And what I always say to that is there is some truth to that in certain industries, period. However, I want you to think about the most successful brands in the world. I want you to just open your inbox. Just open your inbox and think about the most successful brands in the world and just look at how they're sending their emails. Taylor Swift is not dropping plain text emails. Now, we'd all open it if she did, okay? But she's life of a show girling it with disco balls and orange and glitter for a reason. She's creating an identity around her content that continues from the website to the album to social to the inbox. And so I do hear you, and I think there is a time and a place where those emails are superstars for a coach, a writer, an independent journalist, someone who's their newsletter maybe even just is the business, and they're truly a writer by trade. Like that's what works well for them. But when we actually start to think about people that require differentiation in a saturated marketplace where their uniqueness is part of what they have to offer the world, and that is the reason people connect with them, nothing breaks my heart faster than seeing a gorgeous website or landing page, a killer social presence, a super authentic way someone shows up, and then their emails are a CVS receipt. Like I'm like looking at it going, who is this? Like you've lost me. Like part of what I love about you is that brilliance of who you are. So I think both can be true, both can be successful. It's really about knowing, your audience and who you are and what you have to offer. And I do think that, beautifully designed emails can give you a significant advantage, right? I do. I actually do believe that. I'll put that like flag in the ground. But I think it really comes down to you knowing your audience and,
I love that.
Your business.
So we were chatting earlier about how sometimes, obviously social is such a huge platform for so many small business owners, content creators, etc. And you get on this platform and you start to feel like you have to constantly sell, but then you're kind of losing your audience. Yep. So talk to us about sort of the overselling of social and why email is so important.
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way. When you open Instagram, do you want to be pitched to? Do you want that first post to try to sell you? Like really, like think about it. When are you opening it? I open mine in, the middle of the night after I've tried to put the baby down and now I've got insomnia. I open it, in the car, like after I've dropped off the kids and I'm stuck and we're parked and I'm like, okay, quick, let me just check what's happening. I want to be captivated. I want to be entertained. I want to connect to other human beings. I want to get to know you on social. And so I think we've entered this moment where there is more vying for our attention than ever before. We have less time as a result than we ever have before. Attention spans, by the way, all-time low. So if you have, and I tell this to our own marketing team, you have less than a second to grab somebody. That's it. That's why hooks have been a big topic in the creator space for the last few years. Less than a second to grab somebody. If the first words out of your mouth are a pitch on social, you've already lost them. You have to remember that you can use social to be social, to show up as yourself, to really create that authentic connection, and then when you have an opportunity, move them to a space that you own. Move them to an email list where you can go long form. Move them to a place where you can go into more detail. You can provide them value that's unique to what they need, as opposed to just grabbing a megaphone and screaming into the void, this is what I have to sell. This is what I have to sell, and wondering why you're not seeing the conversion, right? Instead, use social to be social. There's so many incredible tools like ManyChat, like if you want this, comment blank, and you can offer it in the DM. We integrate with ManyChat. Flowdesk has a ManyChat integration, so that DM can even say, hey, what's your email? It sounds so personal. They type their email address in, boom, they're added to your list, they get dropped right into the segment, and they're receiving that value, whatever it was that you offered. If you're a creator, and let's say you're doing fall looks, and I'm obsessed with creators that are doing outfits. It's honestly probably been one of the best small business inventions of like my generation. I've gone through infertility treatment and my body changing, pregnancy, my body changing, postpartum. I could go on and on, and I can see women that are my shape, my size, trying on outfits. Like I've never felt more empowered, right? But I often see so many of them missing out in this way too. Yeah. Instead of just having, whatever they're offering, quick drop to, a one-time click, they can leverage all the tools at their disposal. Use ManyChat, use Like to Know It, create a Flowdesk list, have a newsletter that aggregates all of those looks and sends them. Because the reality is a tiny percent of that audience is even going to see the Instagram post, for example. Tiny, tiny, tiny fraction. Of those, very few are going to have in that moment the ability to go and take action and actually purchase. I mean, we're all chronic, like save for later, I'll never look at it, ever. Right? So also don't be afraid to like use social to be social, use it as an introduction, bring people over to either, right? Like you're like to know it, but still grab that email contact, because once you have that email contact, then you can do your weekly aggregate of all of those looks. And so they might now see it for the second time or the third time. Now they're ready to purchase. We see people that do that have incredible success, right? And they're owning that audience. They're growing on social. They're grabbing that audience over. They're building their list. They're not just renting space. They're actually creating something that they truly own. And that's longevity. And last thing I'll say to this too, your email list will follow you into the future. You take that with you. In my own career, I started my list when I was a wedding photographer. I continued just sharing my own story. I became an author, which, by the way, if you ever want to write a book, ask a literary agent what matters more, your social following or your email list size. I already know the answer. It's your email list size. Over and over again, they've learned that social doesn't convert like an email list. So if they're trying to pick a new author, they're going to ask you the numbers on your list and how it's performing. So it can carry you into authorship. It can carry you into your next startup. It can,
also selling a company. They care more about the email list than they do about your social, because obviously we never know what's going to happen. Like something could disappear in a second. So this is such great advice. I guess one of the big questions that we're always getting is, Cool. How do I grow this list? Like, how do I get people to subscribe? Like, I think we're constantly thinking of ways to acquire emails that don't feel gross. So what are some suggestions you have?
Yeah, it never feels gross when you're adding value.
Yeah.
So that, truly at the bottom of kind of all, I could give you millions of tips, but like at the bottom of it, at the core of it, show up with value. And that's already how you show up in business, right? Sales only feel uncomfortable if you don't truly believe in your bones that what you're offering is immensely valuable. The moment you feel that, you believe that, and you know that, you don't approach sales feeling uncomfortable. You approach it knowing that the people who need it are going to benefit, right? And it's a totally different mindset shift and kind of script flip, right? So how to do it? Provide value. Traditional lead magnets, they've been done. You can do them. They still work to an effect.
For someone who doesn't know what a lead magnet, can you break that down?
Yes. It's essentially, think of it this way. Someone is handing you their email and you are handing them value. So this could be a downloadable PDF. That's like the old school traditional lead magnet. Still works in some circumstances. I've seen it phase out of being hyper effective like it used to be. I see some nods. Like it used to be the go-to option. Now though, think of it just as value. So what does your audience actually need from you? Is it curated, aggregated content? So a great example, Sophie from Pretty Little Marketer. She's one of my absolute favorite creators on Instagram. She uses Flowdesk, and she every single week is sharing what's happening in the marketing world, what the trends are, what you need to know. Her content is fire. By the way, I follow her and I still only see one of her posts a week, right? And I'm like engaging to try to see it. So I'm just like, but when I see her weekly roundup hit my inbox, I not only open it, I forward it to my home marketing team. I'm screenshotting it. I'm grabbing it we do like a segment every week called Purple Cows and Oops, where we analyze what brands have done in the marketplace. And we talk about it as a team. And I'm grabbing a lot of those examples, those case studies from her email, because she takes the time to curate and aggregate. And I cannot wait to open, because I don't have the time to do that. Yeah. I might be a marketing leader, but I'm in the weeds. And if someone else can give me that value, I'm going to take it enthusiastically. So you can think like that. Is it just, that you're presenting something aggregated that people don't have to spend time doing? Is it a mini course? Is it like, I could go on it. There's just so many ways. You have to tap into your audience, understand what they need, and just think about what can I deliver via the inbox. It can be exclusive too.
A discount. Like I'm such a sucker for 10% off. I'm like, I don't know if I'm ever going to buy anything from the shop, but I am putting in my email immediately. Like take it. And it's like table stakes now. Like I was talking to someone recently, and I was like, owns a product, and I was like, when you're factoring in your pricing, you have to factor in that you're giving 10% off. It's just the reality of the situation. If I go to a site and they're just like, sign up for a newsletter, and there's no offer, I'm like,
correct.
How dare you, first of all. But I'm like, it is like, it's become the norm.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And so in terms of in terms of email and like growing the list and all these different things, when it comes to, we talked a little bit about like people not showing up or seeing it as much. Is there tips and tricks that you've learned to grow your list, grow your open rate, grow the click-through rate? Is there any little tidbits we can get?
Yes, I would say always think of something exclusive that you can offer that email audience you don't offer anywhere else. This doesn't mean you need to make that entire email net new. You can repurpose, as I've said, anything and everything you're already doing. I think that's actually even a myth. People think it has to be entirely different from your social, your whatever. No, it's just a different format, but have something exclusive, unique to that audience that makes them feel a part of your true community, like your deepest of deepest community, right? I also would say, get very, very clear on what your audience responds to the best and the most. Like, invite them to hit reply. You can get qualitative input, right? That doesn't maybe show up in your analytics, but can help drive future decisions. So I always love to weave a little Easter egg. It doesn't even have to be super obvious. It can be like midway through the email to even see if people are paying attention. Like, are they even reading, past the first portion? Because we assume they are, but as anyone who's ever done video analysis, for example, you look at videos, it's like, oh no, everyone drops off after. I literally just saw someone, yes, everyone drops off after 3 seconds, right? Or whatever. And then you can say why. So if you can start to also identify how long are they reading, how much are they reading, what resonates with them. You could say something as simple as, if this applies, like, hit the reply button, first 25 people, I'm going to hook up with XYZ. Or like, I'm going to this place. I'd love to have dinner with 50 of you, 30 of you, an intimate meetup before, you all host one of your 7-figure founder retreats. Like, you can just sprinkle little things, and like the first 5 people that like hit reply, I'm going to grab coffee with you. It doesn't even have to be that time intensive, but just finding these little exclusive moments, sprinkling them throughout, being intentional.
I love that so much. I used to be such a psycho. So I was like very well, and again, this is pre all the tools that we have now, but I would send a hot list email every Sunday to the team. That was insane. It was so long, and it was like every event, everything that we were doing, whatever. Halfway through, I'd be like, what color is the sky? Respond with that thing in the subject line. And then all of a sudden the team would be like, blue, blah, 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 blah. And then some people wouldn't do it. I was like, I know you didn't read it, girl. It's so psycho, but it was so funny. I felt like it was like a funny little thing I would start to do just to check if people were reading it.
That is hilarious. I wanted to touch on just automations real quick, because I do think that that's such a big part. Now, as a girly that is obsessed with systems and automations, and specifically Flowdesk's workflow, and like, if you do this, then this happens, and if they do this, then this happens. Like, if that was my only job, I'd be the happiest girl in the world, because it is so impactful, and it also helps you really understand like their user journey, right? Yes. So let's talk a little bit about automations and how people in general can use it to grow their following, build their community on email marketing a little bit more.
I love it. This is where I think we go from simple email marketing to we start to move into like these more complex arenas. So what I will say is, if this starts to intimidate you, you don't have to do any of this.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think this is where you start to see that exponential impact with far less effort, right? When you can build something automated that operates while you're at soccer practice, while you're, right, like building another business, right? It's becomes sort of that operator behind the scenes for you that's keeping things moving. So the most simple way, like if you've never done true automations, start a welcome sequence, right? Set up a welcome sequence. Think about it this way. Whenever you acquire an email, you don't want them to just disappear into the ethos. Those first few days after someone subscribes to your list are like the golden moment. Think of it like dating, right? Like, you want to kind of approach them and provide value and warm up that relationship and really get to know one another. So you can create a welcome series, welcome sequence. It could be 3 emails. It could be 5 emails. It could be an email right upon subscribing, one the next day, and if they open, then this. If they don't, then that. You can get more complex, of course. You can also just keep it really simple.
Right.
So I would say start with, how someone first experiences your list. That's the best kind of starter place for automations and workflows. But then you can also incorporate them into launches. You can incorporate them into like a sunset flow. It's really good to clean your list. So if you have a list that you've had for, let's say, a decade, like you're listening to this, you're like, I've done email forever, Nat, tell me something I don't know. Okay. It is really, really healthy to get rid of subscribers that aren't engaged. It is very good for your list. It's going to increase your open rate. We are now, and that's common sense. You remove someone that isn't opening, of course, your open rate's going to go up, right? It's very common sense. However, now it matters more than ever because Gmail is paying immense attention to those open rates over time. If you're emailing to your list and 70% of your audience never opens an email, what does that tell an email provider, like an inbox provider? Well, this email is probably not that important. Like, 70% of the people aren't even opening it. I bet it's a promotion. We're going to keep it in the promotions tab. We're going to keep it in the marketing location where it belongs. It's marketing email. However, if you can, and this is where segmentation gets really powerful as well, start to identify who your most active subscribers are. You're emailing them more, you're emailing them and keeping them engaged. Now suddenly your open rates are like 50 to 60%. By the way, we have people on our platform with nearing 1 million subscribers who have 70 to 80% open rates.
Unbelievable.
And that, like, every time we dig into receipts with people when we're doing case studies or we're working with partners, I am flabbergasted. And when I ask them, like, okay, wait, how is it this engaged? They're like, well, if someone hasn't opened an email in 6 months, I sunset them. And a sunset flow, a workflow automation, really easy way to do that. You basically say, hey, are you still interested? If not, I'm not going to bother you again. I promise. But if you are, do this. Click here, take this action, let me know. And it's instead of default leaving them on a list they don't want to be on, it's actually like stepping in with confidence of saying, I really don't want to email you if you don't want it. You can always come back. But this is sort of my last chance. Like, if you want to stay, stay. If not, go. And doing that in a very kind of like sequenced and repeatable fashion will help you to grow a highly engaged list. So from welcome flow to sales funnels to the options are endless.
Yeah, I'm so happy you touched on that, because a lot of us, even with social, we're so nervous to lose followers, to lose subscribers. But like, it is so powerful to have the right people than just like everybody.
Yes.
You know, so I'm happy that, you touched on that.
Yeah.
So many good insights. Natalie, thank you so much for being here. As you heard today, email marketing isn't outdated, it's evolving. Flowdesk is showing how entrepreneurs can own their audience, build authentic connections, and go beyond social media. Thank you, Natalie.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Work Party. If you like what you heard, follow, leave a review, rate the pod, or slide into our DMs.
Check out the different ways you can create and cultivate on our website, createcultivate.com. From retreats and masterminds to our summits and festival.
We have different experiences to support you through your entrepreneurial journey from launch
to legacy.
Follow us at Create Cultivate on all platforms, and don't forget, work hard.
Party on.
Please note that this episode may contain paid endorsements and advertisements for products and services. Individuals on the show may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to in this episode.